What's up, guys? Welcome to Training Think Tank's First Thoughts, 19.1 tonight. I'm Brandon Dorman.
I'm Kyle Ruth. We're going to be taking a look at this first workout. 19.1 is a 15-minute AMRAP.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's going to hurt. Of 19 wall ball and 19 calories row.
Training Think Tank's First Thoughts, featuring Mike the Tank.
No one beats the real Big G.
Versus Brandy the Thing.
All right, we are going to have a fun night tonight. We get to watch Mike McGoldrick versus Brandy McGoldrick. Married couple going after it for the fourth year. It's a pretty interesting rivalry. You want to give us a little detail on that?
Well, just looking at Mike and Brandy, first off, I think the first thing you have to understand is that they're married. And
Yeah.
anytime you get to a married couple going at a competitive event, you know that it's going to be heated.
I don't compete with my wife.
So tell me a little bit about the history of the event. Tell me what's their...
This is the fourth year that they've gone after it in the Open. In 2016, Brandy won. She blew it away. I think she was 4-1 or 3-2 in that year. And then the next 2 years, in 2017 and 2018, Mike came back from an 0-2 deficit both years to win 3-2 in 2017 and 2018. So now we're down to the final 2019. I think Brandy's going to pull it off and she'll tie it back up this year.
Yeah, I think looking at the history, you know, I got to probably take Mike on this one because he's got that games experience. He's won 2 of the past 3 Opens versus Brandy. So I think I'll take Mike in the overall at the end of the Open. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I got to go with Brandy, but for a little bit more on this, enjoy, guys.
There's no shortage of shit talking in this house.
I'm tired of Mike thinking he's the better athlete in this household.
Everyone at Training Think Tank started it. They kind of created the rivalry between us, especially Max. They just kept betting that she could beat me in things.
I'm down 1-2 in the McG Household Open Series competition.
2016 was kind of a fluke, right? Like the workouts weren't even hard that year.
2016 were the best programmed open workouts to date.
I decided to do it just for fun.
The hardest, I think the most taxing, grueling.
She ends up beating me.
I crushed them, beating Mike 3 out of the 5. Pretty easily. 2017, 2018 were just, the workouts kind of went downhill.
2017 was when the workouts became real again. I beat her on 3 out of the 5, and then the same story last year, and I don't see why it'd be any different this year. Everyone picks me as like the bully, thinks that I'm just not very humble, so they just want me to constantly get humbled, and they think Brandy's the best person for that. I don't really understand it.
In the past, he's always gone after me, so he's taking my scores, my strategies, and literally used them to just one-up me by a few reps. Now we're going head-to-head. He has to come up with his own strategy. He can't watch me do the workout.
I want this open performance to be dedicated to all the villains out there, to all the people that have haters, to show that you don't need anyone, you don't need any support, you have yourself. You can do this on your own, and you need absolutely no one in your corner. That's what I'm dealing with right now, and I'm very happy to be that person.
So if Mike's gonna win this workout, he's gonna have to make sure that he does not blow up on the rower. He's gonna need to push on the rower because obviously, as a male, he's gonna have a little bit more of an advantage on the rower. He's a little bit taller, a little bit heavier, more pull. But if he blows up on the rower, the wall balls are gonna be shut down, and he's just gonna basically lose the workout as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's an advantage for all the males, especially the heavier males, if you're going against the females. So when it's Mike and Brandy, because of the rower, Mike has an advantage there, right? But being a little bit longer and having the wall balls where it's 14 pounds to a 9-foot target and the guys are going to a 10-foot target, the females will be able to move the ball a little bit faster, which we'll talk about in First Thoughts. But as far as them two going at it, if Brandy can just manage the rower at a solid pace and then get onto the wall balls and be able to go a little bit faster in her squatting cadence, which you know she has a fast squat cadence, I think she can be competitive in this one. But it's going to be tough for her because Mike's obviously powerful on the rower.
So what you're saying is you're not necessarily just giving it to Mike, even though it's a rowing-based workout and they have the same cals and wall balls. But
if I were to pick, I would say it's definitely Mike. The Instagram results are in.
64% say Brandy is going to win the overall.
34% say Mike. Obviously, that's the leftovers. I think really what happened there is everybody was just trying to be nice after they saw it was like 90-10 earlier on in the day. And they said, well, Mike needs some love. And now for the tell of the tape. Take it away, Trav.
Thanks, guys, and here's tonight's Tale of the Tape. So in the pink corner, we have Brandy McGoldrick, and in the blue corner, we have Mike McGoldrick. Not only are they gonna be testing their fitness, but they are going to be testing their marriage. Mike, slightly older, joints are gonna be hurting in this one, folks. And we have Brandy, who pretty much looks better on everything else than Michael. Except Mike went individual back in 1976, whereas Brandy's only gone team. And that's all we got for you. This Tale of the Tape was brought to you by the official Trevor Tee. Get yours now at trainingthinktank.com.
I can bring it up.
And we're off. Oh, Mike had a better start than Brandy there. Half a rep ahead already.
So I filmed this, so I've already seen it. Max was kept in the dark. He has no idea what happened, so.
I forgot to start my stopwatch. But there's a clock right there, so I don't need it.
Do you want to start?
No, finish. We're going to be watching a lot of rowing. I think
man,
some good time to talk.
A real coach would have fucking.
A real camera person would have had me prepared.
Yeah.
So I was trapped in my office for this whole thing. So I had headphones on, so I couldn't see who won.
So when you heard the workout, who were you thinking? Mike,
Yeah,
because of the 19 and 19?
Yeah, I think that my gut instinct is telling me that Brandy fans are going to be disappointed here because there's no scale on the row cows, and heavier body weights are just going to make the rowing faster for men than it is for women. So my guess is that, oh, Mike with a little smile there, that the squirrel. I'm up way too late past my bedtime. I think Mike is going to win because of that. I don't think there are going to be any surprises, and I don't think 15 minutes is long enough for him to blow up. But you never know, and no one told me anything. So. Yeah. All right, so he's off 129. Let's just see in round one. They finished their wall balls pretty close to the same amount of time, so let's just see how much time per round Brandy's losing. 140, about 10 seconds. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I think this race is over. Commentary done. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next week. All right. Oh, Mike with the sloppy ball execution. He rolled the ball all the way over. Ryan put it back for him.
I mean, HQ couldn't have given us a crappier workout to kick off our. I mean, for a male, female.
Yeah, for our male-female rivalry.
Has this happened in the Open before where they didn't scale back?
Yeah, I don't think row cows in 15.5 was. I think it was 27, 21, 15.9 for everybody in that. I think.
Do you think that's just because they want to be able to measure if like girls just beat a lot of dudes?
I don't know.
I mean, what else? What else is the reason?
I think they're only just like their goal is scaling loading. Man, are you gonna be at this angle a lot, or will you go back to the face on so I can see the clock when Mike gets off? That was just a round minute. So I think he's at 3:03 right now. All right. I'm good.
What happened to this thing?
I just started it now. All right. So Mike's pace. This is a high-tech stopwatch, Adanac by Marathon. I'm actually.
You were saying something important.
I'm sponsored by them. What was I saying? Oh, Mike's at 3:03, which means his second round was 1:34, so he's 4 seconds off his pace. I'm assuming some of that's just transition. Brandy's 3:27, so she is 7 seconds off her initial pace. I don't know how much of that is transitions at that point. What are you laughing at? That the game's over? I can't see their row paces to know what Mike is holding. I hope he gives me that. See, this is where this backfires. I'm trying to beat Mike on a workout. It would have been helpful to have his row paces. I think I'll be able to get Brandy.
Because you're doing it to
I'm doing
Saturday.
it on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a 4-pound ball and go to an 8-foot target. Scaled division.
Do they have that?
I think so.
Oh, you'd be great there.
So we're at 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Mike looks pretty uncomfortable there. I mean, he doesn't look like he's super fresh, considering. Man, this would be awesome if Brandy came back and won. Can I just cheer for her as it goes on?
Everybody who was in the crowd, they're behind us, so you can't see them, but there's a good little amount of people came. We didn't tell them to, but they did, and they were all cheering for Brandy except for one guy.
Adam with his Mike flag. All right, so he's at 136. So he went 129, 134, 136. Yeah, it's funny, like, when you watch this and you're just watching it, like, normally, you're like, where the hell did how is he 7 seconds slower on his third round from his first round already? He's just going unbroken and going back and forth, but must be row pace, transition, like, the little details of everything just start to add up so much. Brandy was 140, 147, and then, damn it, that's not easy math. 145 and 4, so 149. So she's 9 seconds off her original pace. So she's actually slowing down relative to her initial target pace a little bit more than Mike. And then it's just, this is not a fair race for a male versus a female.
You coach Brandy. Is this a good workout for her? Yes, no?
Yeah, I coach Brandy. I have coached Mike before, and he's following our competitor program. He's in the single session training path, so he's not like training to be competitive right now, but that gives like a broad base of everything. I'd say just if there were some way to scale like an appropriate calorie metric for this, I'd say this is probably more in Brandy's wheelhouse than Mike's wheelhouse. 15 minutes is on the longer range. She's taller for a female, which makes a 9-foot target like an easier thing to get to. And she likes rowing. She's good at rowing. She's good at just like simple cyclical back and forth style stuff. So when this came out, Mike had to have been like really happy. This is like absolute best case scenario for the long aerobic breather thing, especially too because the cycle speed of wall balls is automatically slower because you throw it up and you're waiting for gravity to bring it back down, whereas something like a thruster, you finish the rep and you go right back down and you have like no reprieve as you're going. So this is
hashtag no reprieve.
Yeah, is that the right word or is that like an Endeavor word that I used?
I don't know. No reprieve.
Damn it, and I lost my paces. I don't know where Mike is now, so I'll have to get him at the end of round 5. I think he's finishing 5. Would that be right? Can you tell me how many rounds he got?
No.
At this point, unless Mike dies, Brandy's not coming back. Surprise is blown.
Fuck. All day, I made such a big deal about Max not being out there to watch the workout.
Yeah,
we get this fucking turd.
Yeah, I got like 75 text messages this morning to ensure that I didn't see the big surprise who's gonna win, and it was solved after round 1. All right, so he's at 8 minutes and he's completed 5 rounds.
Who you picking?
Yeah. You know, I like the underdog, so I'm going to go with Brandy here. She's about a round behind. I think she can make it back.
Hypothetically speaking, if Brandy did lose, how close would she be to beating him? Is Mike going to like dominate it, or is Brandy going to be close?
Well, I mean, if he's at, got that out. All right, he's at 5 rounds at 8 minutes, and he's almost lapping her at this point. So she's not going to be that close. She's going to be, I think, more than a round behind by the time that it's all said and done. 10 seconds per. It was 10 seconds in the first set, 13 seconds. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if he can lap her.
Historically, the way they do their open verse-off is it's just who won the workout. Now, knowing that they both have 19 cals, is there something that you would have done to change it to?
Yeah, so me and Brandy and me and Deb have a challenge in the open head-to-head, and I said for any weightlifting stuff, if there's like a 1-rep max, and it's not like a weightlifting, like a ladder or something like that, we're using global placing on the leaderboard. So I think that probably would have been better for this, is like, where did you finish relative to the world? Actually, I also don't think that
It would
Mike
have been
is
terrible
gonna...
for this show, though.
Yeah, well, because we had to wait
All
till
right.
Monday.
We'll see
We'll
y'all
tell you who
Monday.
won in 4 days. Well, this really wasn't great for the show either, because 30 seconds into the workout, I blew the winner.
You think that?
Yeah. But Brandy's still going to come back in these next 5 minutes?
We'll see.
Yeah, we will. Indeed, we will. Yeah. So
I haven't watched this much.
Here's some more rowing. That you'll see.
Let's cut to our sponsor. This row is brought to you by
M&M's.
no, Charmin's Wet Wipes. I gotta say, man, more people need to adopt the what I call the adult wet wipe or baby wipe.
The adult baby
The
wipe?
adult baby wipe. Yeah, man. Back in like 2010, they started making like baby wipes for adults, and everybody be wiping their butt with dry toilet paper. If you had a turd smeared on your counter, would you use a dry sheet of toilet paper to clean it off?
Probably not.
No.
Why are you wearing sunglasses?
I don't know, but these aren't
Nighttime.
prescriptions, so I have no idea what's happening on the screen.
I was keeping track of round times, and now I'm completely lost as to where Mike is. I hope Brandon and Kyle did a really good job with first
Oh, they
thoughts.
crushed it. Yeah,
Okay,
so if
good.
you hate all this, just skip through because they give some really good advice. And in the comments below, I'm going to say, don't want to watch this? Well, you can read it.
This is the commentary. Oh, Mike's, I don't know what round he's finishing, but he's at 11:20.
God, I bet you Bergeron would have fucking had all these clocked in.
He probably would have, and had it all on a graph paper or something, more organized than this.
Yeah. A better sponsorship than Charmin, too.
I don't know, that'd be a pretty good one.
Yeah. I think I did say sponsorship.
Yeah, this is a really, this is a breathtaking performance.
It's past my bedtime.
Yeah. So we're 12 minutes into the workout. Mike has already established his dominance, and he is a round ahead. What are your thoughts going into the conclusion? Can she come back?
Yep, she can. She sure can.
Since you've already seen this, will she come back?
Can't say.
Are you wearing underwear?
Yeah.
Good.
They're from like 7 years ago, Lululemons.
Mike actually looks pretty good. I'm going to go back to commentarying on this. Considering how he looked at the 4-minute mark, he looks like he's actually in a pretty good place. With that wince, maybe a little bit less good, but he seems to be still pushing pretty hard. Brandy looks solid, but there was no chance in this. And she's not lapped yet, and we're coming up on the 13-minute mark. Do you know how many rounds they got? Do you know their actual scores?
I think so.
What did Mike get? Over 8 rounds? Over 9 rounds?
Man, I locked you in a cage for 2 hours, and
But you locked it for a reason that's already over.
Yeah, but what if Mike breaks his hip?
She probably couldn't catch him. She only got 1:30 left.
It's coming down to the wire.
Yeah. It's a real page turner.
All week I've been working on this damn show.
Yeah.
And they give us this
good.
turd.
No, they'll laugh. People will like it.
I hope so.
I was wondering if the wall ball sets every round would be unbroken. Seems like it has been.
Have you seen any cheating yet? How's our judges doing?
I seem to be doing a good job. We're going to have to check the standards to see if the coach can move the ball.
I think they determined that they could.
Okay.
But hey, check the standards.
We'll check the standards also. However, this will probably get
Actually,
released
Brand,
before we know.
I don't know. Check the standards first.
All right, so we're less than a minute. I guess we can see here how Mike's going to kick because Brandy looks like she's kicking pretty hard there. Mike does not look like he's got much of a kick here. He looks like he's hurting pretty good. But this will be, he might finish this and get a couple of wall balls in whatever round this is. But at this pace, he either just looks like he's rowing slow or his kick is not as strong as I would have expected because he's usually, maybe picked it up a little bit now. Brandy got into it. There's 15 seconds left. And the energy in the environment is electric. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? I don't know. It's anyone's game. All right, so Mike is going to probably finish the row and then not do a wall ball. All right, so he's even on 8 rounds or even on 9 rounds?
9.
9? And she was what?
I think she got 8 plus 28 or 26. Is that even a thing?
No, she was doing wall balls, so she must have got 7 plus.
I'm just making sure.
I guess she got 8 plus wall balls, so he was a little less than 1 round ahead based on looking at that.
So if this had been scored differently, you think she would have won in like a more like in a way that would have?
I don't know. What we could do if next week there's an actual work, every single workout's going to be a blowout in one direction. If next week we can look at the global leaderboard and maybe turn it into more of a competition to keep her in the game. Mm-hmm. Or maybe we just say that it's worldwide ranking if she's ahead anyway, just to give her a victory.
I don't know. I think our network's going to cancel this one. If anyone's this far in the video, God bless them.
So I'm here with Mike, the winner of the first week. How do you feel about beating your wife?
Not so great.
No?
Yeah.
Why? What happened out there?
I can't win in this series.
You can't
If I win, I go home, I sleep on the couch. If she wins, I go home a loser.
Alrighty guys, I'm here with the loser, Brandy McGoldrich. How's it feel getting beat by your husband on week 1?
Well, I really don't think I got beat. I'm gonna dispute the scoring system for this workout because last year the row was scaled for the females and it was 85%. And if you take 85% of my score, then I beat him by 8 reps. So I'm gonna take it up with the higher ups and probably come out with a victory, I think, by Monday.
Alrighty, so Brandy's gonna, complain, make excuses. She should probably start writing a letter. But until then, are you gonna make Mike sleep on the couch or in the doghouse tonight?
The doghouse, the dog kennel.
Yeah.
It smells great in there. Has a nice rug, plenty of dog hair.
Alrighty guys, back to you, Brandon and Kyle.
Thanks, Harley. I think Brandon's going to need to work on those interview skills in your next training block.
Yeah, we definitely are.
Tell me a little bit about what you saw out there. Did it go as you expected?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we were looking at, right? When you have the same amount of cows for females as you do males, the males had an advantage. Obviously, there's going to be some females that the elite females are going to beat a lot of the guys. But
yeah, Sam Briggs was 9 rounds for this workout.
Exactly. But in this case, where they're both pretty similar in capacity, Mike's a big dude. He was just pulling a lot more on the row, which we'll get to on some of this when we talk about our first thoughts.
The big thing that stood out to me is just how much the row paces did deteriorate for those athletes out there. Just something, we'll touch on it again as we go. So let's get into the movement standards, Brandon. Can you walk us through, is there anything unique this year that we need to pay attention to going into this?
This is really simple. All of you have done wall balls and all of you have rowed before, so you know the standards on these, but a couple things that I think we need to point out. Obviously the standard wall ball, males are to 10 feet, so make sure you clearly mark 10 feet. And for the females, make sure you clearly mark 9 feet, especially for those that are like shooting up against a wall, which you see in a lot of CrossFit gyms. I think that's just something important.
Ball doesn't touch the tape, it goes over the tape.
Yes, it has to go over the middle line of the 9 foot or the 10 foot mark, okay? Right. For the setup, I think with your camera, it's important too to not have your camera behind you when you're doing wall balls, because what it looks like, even if you're going below depth, which all of us should be, right, for a good rep, it still looks like you're not. So have it at a 45-degree angle or in front of you so you can clearly see your hip crease below your knee when you're doing those.
Also, just another point there, if your camera's set up on the floor, angled up at you, then again, it's difficult to tell if you're actually below parallel. So set up your camera in a way that clearly shows the standard.
Yeah, and then as far as the rower goes, 2 things here. You can have someone reset it, so make sure they're resetting it every time. If you have 10, 15, 20 transitions, for the best people, it's probably 9 or 10 rounds, so it's 18 to 20 transitions. Have someone reset that so you're not reaching out every single time.
Nothing is worse than being on a rower with a dead battery and you're waiting for that thing to reset.
It's awful.
Yeah, have someone else do that for you so you don't get stuck there.
And then as far as the actual setup for the workout, I think it's important that people, especially for those that want to be competitive, work on getting the rower like right underneath where their wall balls are. So you saw Mike and Brandy tonight, they had their rowers underneath the rig and then they could laterally step out and then start their wall balls or vice versa.
Yeah, we'll touch on that a little more in the points of performance as well, exactly how to get into the rower and get your first calorie on the board. But in terms terms of, for the rower, make sure some basic stuff. Set your damper before you get on there. Set the foot stops before you get on there. Like, just go through the basic stuff that you need to set up a workout so you can have success.
We talked about this before we got on camera. One of the things that I tell all of my athletes is, hey, look, you've been rowing, you've been doing wall balls, all the movements that you're gonna see in the open, right? So you know what your row paces should be and you know what it should feel like, you know what your damper setting is in training. So keep all those variables the same. Don't change a bunch of stuff in the middle of a test. Like, keep all those things the same that you have done in your training.
You mean I shouldn't go out there and row twice as fast as I do? You like try way harder on everything.
You and I could probably do that for fun, but yeah, definitely don't do that.
The only other thing here for setup is, and I'm not sure if this is as much of a setup thing, but when the wall ball comes down, it has a tendency to roll in different places. I watched when Mike was out there at one point, the ball rolled into the seat of his rower, because if you do have your rower set up really close to your wall ball station, there's always a possibility that when it hits and it rolls, it can roll in the way of the rower. So just make sure when the ball comes down, you stop it. Right? That's going to make it so that you can definitely save some time on your transition, not having to move it, and potentially chasing the ball for the next round as well.
Absolutely. So going on to points of performance, I think the biggest thing here, since it's 2 movements and it's going to be fast-paced for most people, especially if you're competitive, is transitions are key.
Yep, it's a 15-minute workout in total. So if you're thinking about that, the top athletes, we already know Sam Briggs got 9 rounds. I think the top male athletes are going to be around 10 rounds. That's 20-ish transitions, depending on where they finish on those final rounds. That's a lot of transition time. If a transition takes you 5 seconds, and you can cut that down to 3 seconds, that adds up to a lot of extra time in the workout. So just getting to the point where you can move quickly between the 2 elements and actually having smooth transitions. Brandon, tell me some ways that we can actually make those transitions faster.
Right. I mean, Mike did a great job of this tonight. Brandon did as well, but Mike was very disciplined on his steps going in and out of the rower. So what I think makes the most sense, especially if you can set it up the way they did with the rower underneath the rig, you're doing your wall ball shots, and then as you settle the ball, Mike was already reaching over the rower, which I know you guys can't see my feet, but imagine stepping over the rower laterally and then getting his feet in quickly, which is kind of the idea of keeping your straps loose and not having to tighten them all the time. That just wasted time in a workout like this. So he settled his wall ball and then went over laterally, quickly got his feet in and started pulling right away, even before both feet were in.
Yeah, it was one of the smoothest transitions I've seen onto the rower in an open workout. And basically the step over, what I think is the key here is get over, get 1 foot in, and make that first pull, because one of the other keys to an effective row workout that's rowing for calories is getting your first calorie on the board quickly.
Yeah.
There's so much wasted time getting on there and like light pull, light pull, light pull. I mean, there's times that I've seen people pulling 7 times before they get their first calorie on the board. Get your foot in the rower, get 1 foot in, get a hard pull, get your other foot in, get another hard pull. That should get you a calorie on the board. That first one is the one that takes the most time, so cut that transition time down by getting that first, like getting a couple aggressive pulls right away.
Yeah, I think the rule of thumb for that is no more than 3 pulls to get your first calorie. If it's taking longer than that, you're probably not pulling powerfully enough to get on the board, and then it's going to take you much longer. The other thing, obviously, it goes hand in hand with this, is move back and forth quickly between the movements. You're always, and I know this is it's going to sound counterintuitive because 12 minutes in, you're not going to feel fresh, but you're always fresher going into the next movement than you are staying on the same thing. So, for example, if you know you're going to break your wall balls and you're in 12 minutes, you're hurting really bad, just get to them quickly and get a set of 9 or 10 in quickly, and then take your 4 or 5 second break. What happens, or what I found with my athletes in the past, they knock out their row, they get back to the wall ball, but they rest. They say, hey, I want to go unbroken. So in their mind, to go unbroken, they need a 15-second break. But in reality, they could go 10, 5-second break, 9, and now they've cut off some of that actual time that they would have needed to go unbroken.
You know, that's actually something that I have watched Travis do consistently since I've had an opportunity to train around him and compete around him. He is one of the best at moving directly to the next element, doing a set and then taking the break, just keeping the transitions as short as possible. And I think the more you can emulate that, or the more you can adopt that strategy of moving immediately into the next one, biting off a chunk and then taking your rest, the better you're going to perform in a workout like this.
100%. So to give you guys an idea, because you're going to be asking your coach, or if you don't have a coach, you're going to play around with it tomorrow or tonight, row pacing. So we broke this down for you guys a little bit, and here's just some of the common paces that you may see. So 800 cals an hour to get 19 cals will take 1:25. 1,000 will be 1:08. 1,200 is 57 seconds. 1,400 is 48 seconds, and 1,600 is 42 seconds. Give me the difference there.
Just to clarify, that is the time that it will take you to complete the row.
Yes, the row.
Yeah, so looking at that, I think the sweet spot is probably around that 1,400 mark. So
for the male athletes.
For male athletes, there's a huge drop, from 1,000 cals per hour at a minute 8 down to 48 seconds. That's 20 seconds faster per round on the rower. Now, whether or not 1,400 cals per hour is a pace that someone can actually sustain for that long, I mean, I think that's up to an individual. Just keep in mind that when you are rowing for calories, that the extra effort that you put out to, get a slightly faster cal per hour pace is actually, it's rewarded for sure.
Yeah, it matters way more than if it was for meters, because 5 seconds is not that much, but here, obviously, it's much more than 5 seconds for the cals that you're doing. For female athletes, the sweet spot's probably around 1,000 or maybe a little bit over that, like 1,050. Look at the difference here again. 800 cals per hour is a minute 25 for 19 cals. If you do 1,000 cals per hour, it's a minute 08. So you're talking about almost 20 seconds there too. So 13 seconds, or whatever it is that totals up to that, 17 seconds. With that time, you're talking about with 7 transitions, 8 transitions back and forth, you're talking about almost 2 minutes of work that you can improve by just going at that 1,000 cals.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you'll see is the top athletes in this workout are going to be maintaining paces across that are 1,400 plus. Just no question about that. Maybe even closer to the 1,600 mark, which I do think are going to be lower than what we saw in 18.1 last year, just because the combination of movements here are a little bit, a squat and a row are very similar in last year. Moving to a toes to bar, which is more grip dominant and things like that. So
for sure.
I do think the paces will be a little bit lower than they were last year, but overall, if you want to do well on this workout, you're going to have to maintain a really aggressive pace. And like Brandon pointed out, there's a huge difference between 1,000 cals per hour versus 1,400.
Yep, absolutely. So wall balls, I think one of the big things that you can mess around with when you warm up tomorrow or Saturday, whenever you do this, is squat stance, right? I know we're comfortable in a certain stance that we're always doing, but I always have my athletes change the squat stance and work on movement variability, because I think it's important to work out like this. A wall ball is 20 or 14 pounds. You can change your stance and not hurt yourself pretty easily. I tell my athletes to widen their stance out, because that makes it a little bit easier to get to depth, and it's a shorter depth. So obviously, if you're talking about 19 wall balls, if it improves you just by 2 or 3 seconds a round over the course of 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds, now you have an advantage over the people you're competing against.
Another good important point here is with the wall ball. Most people catch the wall ball, keep it in front of their face. Another thing that I've seen some of the top athletes in the sport do is just be adaptable. So if their shoulders start to get tired holding the ball up, they'll move the ball to one shoulder, move it to the other shoulder. They do things like that that's adaptive. That a lot of people, you think about a wall ball and it's like wall ball stays right here. Most people have a very clear concept of how a wall ball should be done, but really successful athletes are very adaptive, and they're going to move in a way that allows them to be successful in the sport. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. It's like if you're tired, you're at the end of this workout, 12 minutes in, come up with a way to solve the problem.
Yeah. Find a way to be efficient at the end. I mean, that's what the sport is. And as far as wall balls go, just one last quick thing think about is hand positions and what you're doing with your hands when the wall ball is released. You see people all the time that are holding it up. If this is something where your shoulders start burning, play around in your warm-ups, not in the workout. If you can throw it up, get your hands back down and catch it a little bit lower, and that's just going to save you from a little bit of shoulder burn or anything else that may be going on in your forearms or hands.
Think about how much time under tension is accumulated just keeping your arms over your head, how much blood is being blood flow is being restricted. I mean, that can really take a toll by the end of a 15-minute workout. I've seen people drop their arms all the way down. If that's something you've practiced or you feel comfortable doing that, again, a good strategy for keeping blood moving in your body as you go.
Yeah, and last but not least, breathe on your wall balls. Don't hold your breath, especially when you get tired. Just make sure that you find a nice, smooth rhythm that you can hold and be consistent there. And then obviously the same thing on the row, right?
Yep.
Warm-up, Kyle, you're the warm-up king. Give us what you would do.
So in general, for a workout like this, I would say 15 to 20 minutes of general aerobic prep. What do I mean by that? I mean getting on an assault bike, getting on a rower, going for a jog, doing something that's going to get blood flowing, getting your heart rate up, the things that are going to basically set you up to kind of start feeling like you will in the workout. I have found personally, and just investigating stuff with athletes here and experimenting with different things, that mixing different ergs, going ski erg to assault bike and then rower to assault bike back and forth, that type of work is much more effective for warming people up for a mixed sport like CrossFit than just sticking on one erg. Like 15 minutes on the assault bike is not as good for a sport like this as a minute row, a minute assault bike, and then a minute of dynamic mobility. So that would be the first part of your warm-up. The second part is open up your hips. You want to get into the squat position for the wall ball as freely as possible. You don't want to be fighting against your own tension to get to the bottom of that wall ball. And that's got to be like, between those two, you should be pretty close to being ready to go for the workout. The last thing that I would finish with are like 2 to 3 really short, quick intervals of like 8 to 9 calories on the rower, 8 to 9 wall ball, just moving back and forth so you can feel what the combination is gonna feel like. But let's face it, this is a pretty simple workout. Most people have probably done rowing and wall ball in combo, but I still think it's important to get a touch on the intensity before you actually get into the workout.
Absolutely. All right, so picks for top male score and top female score across the world.
Oh man, we're gonna do this.
Yeah,
Brandon?
I'm gonna go that there's going to be a male over 11 rounds. I think that's definitely doable. You'll see a couple that are quite a few that are in 10 rounds. If someone is really efficient on the row, everyone's gonna go on broken wall balls for the top males. If someone's really efficient on the row, you may even see a 12th round or someone that's closing in on that.
My guess is there's going to be some really powerful females, people that maybe were former rowers who are going to be able to kind of shine on this workout a little bit. Wall ball is such a simple movement for people that have some experience in CrossFit. So I think we might see someone who was a former rower potentially beat Sam Briggs on this workout and get into the high 9s to low 10s on the female side, which would be, I mean,
amazing. Sam
was
so impressive. I don't think many can beat her, but there's probably someone a little bit more powerful on the row, but she is, I can't believe how long she's been able to do what she's done. So that's all for this week, guys. But we've got a jam-packed weekend, okay? So tonight you get first thoughts. On Saturday, Max is going to give his second thoughts after he goes through the workout. On Monday, you're going to get to see Travis versus Trevor, which is Travis's first attempt versus his second attempt. And then the big thing this week, comment below to tell us who's going to win next week. Is it going to be Mike? Say no.
Yes, it's Mike.
Or Brandy.
No, it's Mike.
Or Brandy. Who's going to win next week? We'll pick one per. Go ahead. I was just
going to say, best comment wins one of the new Trevor shirts. And, you know, I would say it's going to be Mike. So just keep that in mind as we go.
Brandy's going to get some redemption. See you guys.
Hala.